Financial markets in chaos. Our classic and collectible cars on Bring a Trailer, the new gold. Let's get into it. We got predictions. This is Bid Nerds. Bidding starts now. Bid Nerds is your YouTube card game show. Yep, we're starting this thing. This is a Bid Nerds episode. Welcome, everybody. My name is John Polnick. We are coming to you live from the Container Park in downtown Las Vegas, as well as my partner, Michael Deeb, right over there, not in downtown Las Vegas. Where are you at, Michael Deeb? What's up?
So I am live in the Club Wheelhouse studio in a secret location off of the map and off of the menu of items on the Club Wheelhouse webpage, somewhere tucked into San Rafael. JP, how was your Cars and Cafe? Because I can't wait to tell you about mine. I got
just get to it, man. What happened?
Buddy. All right, so JP, you introduced me to Shadi and John Larner. They've got a buddy who's got a shop in Daly City. Told him it was our 1-year anniversary at Cars and Cafe SF at our new location at the Seaplane Adventures and the Pacino Coffee Truck in Sausalito, Mill Valley, California, right on the water. I'm there at 8 a.m. We're opening up the Airstream, and in rolls a crew of cars. JP, black Carrera GT, black 993 RS, and a metallic black 959 Comfort. I mean, John, since I've known you, I have never wished you were standing next to me more than I was this morning, because I would have turned and hit you on the chest and went like that, JP? Is that how we do it? You would have patted me on the back and you said, "You're getting the hang of it, kid." It was awesome. I was beaming that these $4 million rolled into the parking lot at 8 a.m. and hung out with us. So shout out to John Larner and Jimmy, who's got the shop on Juniper Serra Boulevard. He's a Porsche guy. These are his cars, his clients. And of course, everybody that was there that was holding the camera just lost their mind. And we had a blast. One of the guys in their train, they also had like a 991 and a 996, a white 996 with a roll cage. It was really cool. So the guy in the 991, JP, his name is Nick. Nick, I go over and say hello to everybody. Nick says hello to me, and he goes, Michael, I've been watching Bid Nerds since you guys moved to YouTube. So I've been watching for a couple of years. He goes, I really love the show. And he goes, I love watching you guys. It's great. He goes, I go downstairs in my house and I turn on the TV and I just watch it all by myself. And he goes, my 10-year-old boy comes down and he sees the show is on and he just sits with me and we watch Bid Nerds together. And he turns to me and he says, Dad, that JP is so angry. So George, you're my hero. Nick and George are the best members of the nerd herd.
You must have watched an episode where we were talking about P-Car Market, I'm sure.
Yeah, so George, big shout out to George for getting it right. That is awesome. And then and I said, yeah, JP loves to ish on anybody. And so then he says, well, Michael, I have a 991.1 Carrera, which was the white car that he rolled in with the guys in the black cars. And he goes, JP ished on me just last week. And I said, we've all been there, man. So anyway, shout out to Nick and George. JP, we had a great 1-year anniversary. Big thanks to my wife, Esther, who does all the heavy lifting, to all of our mutual friends that come and help me produce the show, Sahan, John, Yuri, Sebastian, all the guys. And then, of course, to Sean Manchester and the gang from Pacino, who are our host venue with the coffee truck. And we are at the spot of their forthcoming Pacino Salagua. Big thank you to a year under our belt and looking forward to the year ahead when that restaurant is built and we do our cars and coffee. And then we all go in and do bottomless mimosas and hang out. We'll get hammered. So anyways,
definitely awesome. Gonna have to make a trip to the Bay Area for that one. Carzoon Cafe, the last Sunday of the month in both San Francisco and Las Vegas. It's becoming kind of a tradition here. We've been doing it for 7 years. Yeah. If you've got a city, if you guys want to franchise the Carzoon Cafe, if you want to commit to doing a show, we can help
Seattle,
you out. We'd like to see this expand a little bit in some other cities. Yeah, right on. My hometown would be cool. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out. If you're new to the channel, thank you for joining us. This is the channel where we analyze listings on Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, P-Car Market, and more. We find the most interesting cars from those auction platforms. We talk about those listings, and then we get to the good part. We make predictions. We always start every episode We hold ourselves accountable. We start every episode by going over the predictions that we made on the last episode to see if we're any good at this. Turns out we aren't. Spoiler alert. But you can play along. You're probably better than we are. If you're watching this live, that's the best way to do it. Introduce yourself to the Nerd Herd over there in the live chat. You're going to meet great friends over there. And I'm not even kidding. You're going to meet great friends over there. If you introduce yourself in the chat, we have met so many fantastic guys and gals in the live chat, and a lot of the folks who watch this show regularly, particularly in the live chat, we get together regularly all over the country. Sometimes we're in Idaho. We were at Idaho Air a few weeks ago, and sometimes it'll be here in Vegas. Sometimes it'll be in the Bay, LA, all over the place. So definitely introduce yourself. You're going to meet great people, and that's really where the real knowledge is. We just talk about the cars, and then we just kind of look and see what the Nerd Herd says, and that's how we make our predictions. That's our cheat sheet. All right, let's get to it. Let's start out by talking about, tonight there's a lot of stuff going on in the markets. The crypto is just taken off. A lot of people think that's because of the uncertainty with financial markets and what's going on with the big beautiful bill, and there's going to be more trillions of dollars, there's going to be inflation, everybody's looking to hedge their bet, and of course gold and silver are up as well. Are classic cars a hedge for inflation and market chaos? We're going to get into that a little bit, and I think we could start looking at some of the results and see if that makes some sense. What's the first car? We made a prediction on the last episode, Michael Deeb.
JP, a car that you and I totally agree on. Let's circle back to the 1988 Porsche 911 Carrera Coupe, a G50 equipped car in a really pretty shade of Venetian blue metallic. John, the big news here is that this car has been treated to a makeover in the engine compartment to the tune of 3.8 liters, which is a bump in displacement, and a twin plug head to finish it all off. JP, this car has to be putting down 300 horsepower easy in its sleep. And how cool would this car sound with that dual center exit exhaust a la GT3? This car just looked cool in every way. The mobbed out black rims. JP, you have access to register cars in states where they don't have to sniff your tailpipe. So every time I see a car like this, I think of you, I think of Rami, guys that can sort of get away with it. Lowly me here in California without a best friend in Washington. This car is unobtainium for me until I move back to Nevada. So when I look at a car like this, JP, I immediately think of you and what a smile a car like this would put on your face. Now, I know you've got a really badass G-body turbo coming, but how cool is this normally aspirated car? And somehow, JP, I don't feel like this is a massive, like 350, 400 horsepower build of the motor. This one seemed to be a bit more tempered. And while it would still be like unreasonably fun, I think it's going to wind up being reasonably priced. With that in mind, JP, we look to our friends at classic.com. They tell us that a stock 88 G50 Carrera Coupe is typically $75,000 in the secondary market over the last few years. I thought this car with the motor and the Venetian blue paint would bring $90,000 and thus be a steal coming in under 100 grand. I thought that was a really good bid. JP, you went $84,911, and man, did you have your Miss Chloe hat on. Our car hammered for $85,000 where it sold on 28 bids. So two things. JP, you missed a Yahtzee by $89. I'll Venmo the $89 just so you can ring the Yahtzee. And then the other thing, John, when you gave us your bid, did you think that was a winning number, or did you just think that was a hammer price for this poorly represented, very cool car? The photos are great because they're out in the middle of nowhere, but they look like to me, they look like they were done with a cell phone. If you had told me that your bid was right, I would have guessed it would have been a failure to sell. So I'm very surprised that that car was let go for, in my opinion, so little money. Now, even if the reserve was 87 and BAT donated a couple bucks to make this work, at $85,000 hammer, that car rolled, and I'm surprised by that. Was your bid a winning bid or a hammer?
Yeah, no, I'll go ahead and take the credit and say, yeah, I didn't really, I actually thought I was kind of overbidding, honestly. I just wanted to cover the spread because I didn't really think it would get I was kind of surprised that it even got 80, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
This particular car is cool. Don't get me wrong. I really like it, but it's one of these cars. We talk about this all the time. Engines sell the car. That's for sure. And this car definitely had some cool bits. This is definitely a hot rod car with the PMOs and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, you start getting into, you look at the listing, and there was some stuff out there that I noted that I didn't talk about in the last episode. People were asking about, you know, the gas that's being used. Like, you know, you got to use race fuel, this thing. How hot is this engine? Blah, blah, blah. And I think that just scares a lot of people away, kind of like you were being scared away from the emissions thing. And it really seems like the dealer that was representing this car really fell down. They took some decent assets, but they weren't answering questions. There were a lot of questions going on, and this car the night before at 5:30 before this thing closed was only at $45,000, right? And so it really seemed like this thing was kind of not set primed, and there wasn't a lot of questions being asked, no answers. And what saved this auction in the end was the original owner, the person who traded the car in, actually got on the, in the morning, got on the chat and started answering everyone's questions. And then the dealer hops in and is like, oh, yeah, this guy, I guess, used to own it. So it was really, I mean, the dealership needs to write that guy a check, because I don't think this car would have broken 55 grand had it not been for the original owner coming in, because people were basically like, this car's DOA. Nobody wants it because they're not answering questions. And the dealership didn't know the answer. What's that?
Yeah. 10%. They own 10%.
Yeah, I'm not even kidding. Yeah,
$8,500. That's what it should get.
I mean, this is the thing. The dealers have to answer the questions. You can have ambiguous stuff when it comes to these cars, but you got to engage, right? People are okay with knowing, oh, okay, it's good to mix 110 with, you know, some 93 and even it out. You don't have to go full net, you know, race gas, whatever. People are willing to do some crazy stuff with their old Porsches, but you got to talk to them. You can't just be radio silent. So this is a good example of a dealer that really should have hired bid nerds. We do sell cars for our customers. If you're considering selling a car on Bring a Trailer or Cars and Bids or even P-Car Market, the bid nerds can help you out. We'll make sure that you have the best assets. We'll make sure you have the great interaction. We'll help you submit the car. We'll even help you get the car delivered to the final buyer. All the good stuff. Bid Nerds, a happy ending for every auction. So reach out to us at Bid Nerds. Look at this. We even have a website. I suppose I should probably show this. We did all the work to set it up. Bidnerds.biz. Here it is. Make sure you check that out, guys. We've got our new website up. We're really excited about it. We're really proud of it. And let us know what you think of the new website. Bidnerds.biz. All right.
What's this we got it up shit? Like, you're giving me credit for nothing I did. That is all you. The website is absolutely beautiful. And JP, as I said before, the last time we threw that up about a week ago, looking at all the cars that you and I have sold over the last couple of years, it's quite the wall of fame. You know what I mean? Like, there's
right.
Some
look at all these cars. We've sold really a lot of cars.
All those cars have sold. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Those are all great listings. Me, you, and a bunch of our closest friends. I mean, it's really pretty awesome. It makes me, I don't know, I get a little teary-eyed when I look at that. That's such a good stuff.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. We're not jumping into this. It's not like we haven't done it. We're just finally making it official. We've been doing this for years now. We just figured, you know what? We should put a name on it and say this is instead of just our own. So anyways, let us know what you think of that 911, guys. And certainly let your friends know if they're considering selling their car on BAT to reach out to the Bid Nerds, either on bidnerds.biz or reach out to us on Instagram. All right, let's get to the next car that we made a prediction on the last episode. What do we got?
All right, JP, we are going to circle back to this year 2000 Porsche 996 GT3. John, this is a 996.1 GT3, a car that was never homologated or imported to the United States for sale as new from Porsche back in the day. This particular car is a German market example that was imported about a year ago, I believe, JP. The car was offered for auction on P-Car Market. It was presented out of Miami, and let's see, it had a Montana title. So the car was located in Florida. The title was in Montana. The car is showing 93,000 kilometers, which I'm going to guess is around 60,000 miles, maybe 58 or 59. I don't do the math in my head. They made 1,800 of these. but it was never offered for sale anywhere in North America. So I don't even think you could have got this car in Canada or Mexico, but I'm not sure of that. It is a Mesker engine, JP, but believe it or not, this car only makes about 255 horsepower. And surprisingly, John, only revs to about 7,700 RPM. That being said, this is still a great car. Think of it as a 40th anniversary that's been to the gym, has been working out, lost a little bit of weight, and is a little fitter than even a 40th anniversary. Rear-wheel drive, limited slip, a couple of more horsepower, stiffer suspension, probably a closer ratio, shorter throw to the gear shift. Really cool car. JP, this listing is poorly shot. The car is not in great condition. And you went on to great lengths to explain how P-Car Market did not do enough to help this seller get this car sold. And sometimes that means, hey, we'll list the car for you, but you got to come back with better assets for this really rare car, of which there are very few comps that have sold in the United States to help you get this car to a particular value and over the line as a sold unit. John, with all of that in mind, I still think this car, actually, our friends at classic.com tell us that both domestic and abroad, the average selling price for a 996.1 GT3 is only $83,000. That's for a standard car. Club sports bring more. This car is not a club sport. I thought this car would stall out at $78,000 and wind up in the deal tank for a lot more money. John, you took the under by just a few grand. Your bid, $75,000. And we were both right, but the car did a little bit better before it failed to sell. $83,996 at Hammer, where it failed to sell. John, read the tea leaves. 5 bids is all this car got. The car has since been treated to an offer of $90,000 that has also been declined, and the car remains available in what we used to call the deal tank. What do they call, JP? Marketplace?
Yeah, something like that.
P-Car Marketplace, the car is offered for sale still at $125,000. So, John, there's a lot to unpack, but I'll be quick. At $83,996, I would have thought they would take the money. At 90 grand, what are you doing? This car is not worth $125,000. Right now, you and I can go to Europe and buy a club sport for 95,000 euros, bring it to the United States and have it registered on the ground in Nevada for less than 125 grand with half the miles and twice the condition, and it's a lot more collectible a car. So this person who owns the car is holding out for something that is not coming. It's like when the last bus drove by at 8 o'clock and there's somebody hammered standing at the, like, delusional at 10 o'clock waiting at the bus stop, and you drive by going, hey man, that line is closed. What are you doing? You're going to be there till 6 a.m., you know? Yeah. So I just don't get it. This is, and P-Car, there's enough data out there that somebody in the building and P-Car knows this. And so this car in the deal tank at 125, that's like me telling me, you know, like, JP, yeah, I'm going to drive next time you see me in Vegas, I'm going to drive my Carrera GT. Like, that's not happening. Like, what are we doing? You know, like, come on, man. So,
well, I mean, you just said it. What are we doing? P-Car Market, what are we doing? Like, what are you here to sell cars or not? Like, either fold it up or get serious. How did you, when this listing came, one of our big, grudges that we have with P-Car Market is that they're constantly wasting not just the buyer's time, but the seller's time. When the seller calls you up or sends you an email and says, hey, I've got this car and here's the reserve I want for it, it's your job, P-Car Market, to help that seller get real. Come to Jesus. You think this car is worth $130,000, $125,000? Well, here's a bunch of comps for cars that we can go get right now. Like you said, Deep, you can go to Europe. The 25-year rule means that you can bring in really nice versions of these that are better. I mean, it's just like, what are you even doing, P-Car Market? Is P-Car Market just basically a bot now? Did they just get an AI that's really dumb, that's really not that intelligent, and it's just one guy and an AI bot doing everything? Because this just doesn't make any freaking sense at all. Why put the seller through a week of paying attention to the auction? Why are you wasting everyone's time? This listing was dead on arrival. So, George, I'm angry. There it is. Was that his name? Yeah.
George, yeah. Poor George. He's like, oh, poor JP. Let's send him some flowers.
That's right. Get me some candy. All right. So what do you guys think of the results of this GT3? I mean, some of these people, I mean, I think that some, like, Porsches are a great car investment in general. Like, cars aren't a very good investment in general as it stands, but if you are going to put money into a classic car and you don't know a whole lot about them, classic Porsches tend to be the safest route, right? This is one of those cars that fits in you really got to know what the hell you're getting into when it comes to early 996s. And I just don't see this being the kind of car that someone's going to want to park their money in to hedge their bets against inflation. A .1 996 GT3 that's all beat up on a really bad auction platform is not a great way to hedge your bets. What do you think, dude?
No. Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, JP, let me frame it one more way so we can get off this car. Yeah. If you showed me a 996.2 GT3 with 60,000 miles in better condition of this, I could get that car for 100 to 105 grand. Yeah. Why would I spend $20,000 more to get a car that's all scratched up that ultimately is not, it's not a superior car? The fact that they didn't bring that to the United States doesn't make it more valuable than its superior 1 year or 3 year older brother. You know what I mean? Like, this is just, I don't know. It's idiocracy.
Why are two jerks on the internet? Why do we know more than P-Car Market? P-Car Market's been in the business now for years. And I get that they have new ownership, but you would think that the new ownership would go, oh, look, here's an opportunity, because the people that were running P-Car Market have built this big audience, but they clearly don't know how to sell cars and they don't know how to list things, and they're kind of jerks. So that's the opportunity with P-Car Market. There was an opportunity taking that over. But they're just business as usual. Nothing has changed. It's like the Chinese food restaurant that has the new management sign, and it's still the same, but it's the same cockroaches. So what's the difference, right? Same cockroach. Yeah, same type of cockroaches at the new P-Car Market. Nothing's changed. Don't expect the chow mein not to have bugs in it. Okay, let's move on from this roach of a car. What's the next thing we got on the list?
All right, JP, your car. We're going to circle back to your car. That hill that you died on, the, I don't know what third generation.
I don't know
Toyota
how
MR2.
I got branded with this car. This is everybody's
Wade Bennett. Wade Bennett caught you defending this car, and then thus this became the JP holiday car. The car that John could never own in Seattle because it rained too much is this 2001 Toyota MR2 Spyder with a 5-speed manual. Our car was listed on P-Car Market showing just 12,000 miles from new. It had the Polnick exterior package, but not the Polnick. It actually had the Rochelle interior package with the tan leather. Mid-engine, 5-speed, rear-wheel drive, super cool car. Listed on P-Car Market out of Bluffton, South Carolina. And again, the low odometer was really the noise here. Was this the right platform to sell this car? JP, P-Car is good at certain things. Selling sort of late model Japanese sports cars that are kind of collectible, both to the domestic market and the JTM fanboys. I really think this car would have done better on Cars and Bids, or perhaps bring a trailer. I feel like P-Car Market would have been my third choice if I was representing this car. However, John, according to our friends at Classic.com, the average selling price of this generation of the MR2 is typically $14,000. I thought this car could still hammer for $14,000 when the hammer fell on P-Car Market. You did not share my enthusiasm, and thus the massive spread to your bid, which was only $8,500. John, our car hammered at $10,750 where it failed to sell. I did not add up the bids, but to show you how bad that result is, for sake of argument, this car remains available in the marketplace, Deal Tank, or whatever P-Car Market is calling this these days, for $21,000, which is essentially twice what the car hammered for. So, John, the average selling price of one of these cars is $14 grand. Again, I don't know that 21 is out of the question, but you're hammering at 10,000. Like, you don't have the audience to support this type of listing. Again, they're not going to tell the guy that and send him away, but I don't know, man. This is such an abject failure. It's a mess. It's just a mess. I feel like this car is burnt. I don't feel like anybody's going to pay him 21 or even 18 or something to try and bridge the gap to a deal. It'll be interesting to see if we see this car, if we catch this car on Cars and Bids or Bring a Trailer in a couple of weeks from now when it comes out of the marketplace for P-Car Market. JP, how do you unpack this result?
Well, there's no way that's going to happen. I mean, maybe Cars and Bids because they're trying to get their act together as well.
Yeah.
But BAT ain't going to accept this car. If this seller thinks that the car is worth $20,000 plus, BAT is going to be like, see ya. You know, what's the reserve that they're going to give him? Best reserve they're going to give him
10,000.
10 grand at this point. Yeah. So,
yeah.
I mean, there's just no way, right? And I do think BAT could get more money for it. I do think that this is a $12,000 car, but it's not a 21. Look, the seller, Weekend Motor Co., they had a quote when they, in their chat, they said, let's hear, what did they say? Don't let this be one of those, I had an opportunity to buy one cheap a couple of years ago story. What?
Oh, shit.
What?
Oh, my God.
It's not 2023. People aren't just throwing money at anything. Maybe that could have happened when people were buying GT3, or not GT3s, but Volkswagen GTIs for 80 grand or something like that. But a Mark III MR2, and I like Mark III MR2s. I like the cars. I would actually buy one of these. You know, Anthony's like sending me pictures of Z3s and all these other cars. Anthony from Our Smiths, our friend over there. You know, look, sure, there's other cars you can make an argument for, but the thing I like about the MR2 is that it's cheap and you can pour sand in the engine. It's a Toyota. It's going to run forever, and this one only has, 15,000 miles, something like that. So that's what makes this car interesting, is that you buy it, it's like a fire and forget missile. Once you own it, you don't ever have to do I don't even think you have to put tires on this thing ever again, right? And it's just going to run and run and run. So but it's not worth $20-something thousand. You're out of your mind, Weekend Motor Co. So what do you guys think of that result? What do you guys think of P-Car Market? What is going on over there?
JP, where do I get a book of these kinds of like soft closes? Like, hey, Mr. Customer, don't have one of those. I had the opportunity. That is just, holy man, the brown book of bullshit sales.
Just
like that.
Come on,
that is so white belt, on. White shoes.
Oh, what? Yeah, I mean, used car salespeople over there at P-Car Market. Just look, does it make sense to even look at anything on P-Car Market at all? They're going to accept any ridiculous reserve anyone has. Have they sold anything? I don't know. It's just getting so ridiculous, so tedious. We recommend you skip P-Car Market and just go directly to Facebook Marketplace. If you want to deal with a bunch of degenerates, you may as well just do the Facebook thing. Because you put an ad on Facebook and you get all the weirdos and, offers. I'll give you $2,000 for it or whatever and a stick of bubble gum. If you're going to deal with that kind of nonsense, you should at least not have to pay a fee to do it, which you have to on P-Car Market. All right, let's move on. What's the next car on the list? We covered a lot of cars.
All right, JP, we got a couple of quick ones. Yeah, so I picked this 1972 BMW Bavaria with a 4-speed manual. JP, this car is basically restored. They repainted it. They dotted up the upholstery, and the motor's running great. It's a manual transmission car. It's smog exempt almost everywhere, and it just looks fabulous in this color, Bical blue. I don't even know the name of the color, but anyway, not a big demand for these cars, but it ran no reserve on Bring a Trailer out of Bellingham, Washington, and this is about the nicest one we've seen. We don't cover a lot of these because, again, there's nobody out really buying these. Most of the ones that come to market are $15,000 and in need of everything. Most of these cars have been parked outdoors their whole life. This one, JP, looks showroom ready, and I just had a sneaky suspicion this one might do well. So, John, our friends at Classic.com tell us that the average selling price of a Bavaria with a manual is about 23 grand. I thought this car would do twice as good as that. My bid, 44,000. Your bid, just underneath me at 39,000. We were both way off. JP, this car running no reserve with no peers, no comps, anything like this, crushed it. $55,000 at Hammer, where it sold on 18 bids. Congratulations to the seller. You absolutely hit it out of the park. That being said, I'm not presuming that he made money at 55 grand. Restoring anything costs twice as much as that these days. But to the guy who bought it, even though you paid more than anybody you've ever met, I still think it's well bought because, what does BMW make today that's as cool as this?
Yeah,
I
not
think
a damn thing.
this is a great car, and I think you could go and drive it and probably turn around and sell it next year and still get, $45,000 out of it. Again, it is a significant amount of depreciation, but I still think this will remain one of the nicest ones in the marketplace, even if it trades hands a couple times over the next few years. It's a really nice car and a very user-friendly classic to just get in, drive, and enjoy. Drawn, you could road trip this thing from Vegas back to Snohomish and be comfortable the whole way and cruise at 100 miles an hour with one finger on the steering wheel. It's a German sports sedan. It's just 50 years old. Awesome car.
Yeah. Well, I admitted on the last episode, I don't know a whole lot about them, but they sure have a lot of fanboys. There were a lot of comments on this car and a lot of people that really were knowledgeable about this particular model. And there was a lot of discussion about this car had big expectations. Apparently, prior to this one, the top price for one of these in the last 5 years was $64,500, and then someone said that one sold for $61,000, and then there was one for $38,250, and everyone was expecting this one to be the highest seller. So the folks who really know these cars thought that this thing would break 64. It didn't. This seems like a great result to us, but apparently within this community, that seems like something of a disappointment. So I think that makes sense, though. That tracks, because I think the market is in a place where people are comfortable to spend money on stuff like this, these kind of obscure classic cars that may not have a huge audience. But if it's a quality car, people will pay decent money for it. They're just not paying top dollar unless it's a really blue chip car. So unless you have something like 73 911 RS or whatever, something that's really blue chip, it's probably not going to get top dollar, but you can probably bank on the car doing well enough that you either could have made money on the car if you bought it a few years ago, or at least recoup your investment, even though things were pretty darn crazy expensive a few years ago. If the car isn't very good, if it's a POS, you've got problems. And if you're on a bad platform, you've got even more platforms. Did we cover another car in the last episode? I think we did.
One more quick one. Yeah, real quick, JP. We're going to sneak a check-in on our 1997 Euro example of the BMW 323 Ti with a 5-speed manual. JP, our car was a really cool shade of Kiruna violet metallic paint, which I'm totally digging today. It also has a rag top. It's a 5-speed manual. It's a 2.5-liter inline 6 on an E36 platform. JP, our car was showing 165,000 kilometers, which is it's over 100,000 miles. It was running no reserve on Bring a Trailer. Our friends at classic.com say that these cars typically bring 15 grand. I didn't think this car would bring even 8,000. You actually took the over at 8,532. Our car running no reserve with the cool paint, hammered for $9,100 where it sold on 19 bids. JP, that number doesn't surprise me. Again, it didn't break 10. This isn't a stellar example, but man, there is a cult following for these inexpensive early manual E30, E36 Tourings, TIs. Like there is a massive culture of BMW fanboys for cars exactly like this. $9 grand for this car, well bought.
Yeah, really well bought. And this is one of the reasons why my partner and I always disagree. And even though him and I are partners and we will sell your car on Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, we could probably even get a car to sell on P-Car Market. If any two yahoos could get it done, it's us, right? But my partner and I don't always agree on whether or not someone should run a car no reserve or not. This car was listed no reserve. And I think that was a huge mistake on this car. I don't think this guy should have let the car go for that little money. This car is in very good condition for the type of for what this is and for the amount of people that are very into these. Again, this is not a 318. This is a 323. This car was imported from Europe, so this is an actual 6-cylinder. The 318s are gutless wonders. They're still fun though because they have that shorter wheelbase. The E36s are on the way up. We're seeing E36 M3s really skyrocketing in value. That's one of those few cars that we're seeing going up right now in a significant way. And to be able to get one of these, the short wheelbase cars with the hot hatch and a 6-cylinder rear-wheel drive manual, all those things that you want, even the California roof, and the car is in pretty good shape. I think this is one of the few cars that the seller would have been better off just selling it on Bimmer forums, or Built for Back Rows, or even Facebook Marketplace, one of the BMW sales groups on there. This is one of those cars that has a really, really niche market, but people will pay the money for them. I would pay nearly 15 grand for one of these. I think this is one of the best, like, just all around. Just if you needed one car and you didn't want to spend more than 15 grand, this is it. I think the buyer, whoever got this thing for 9 grand, stole it. They could flip this thing for 15 grand like that on the forums. But what do you guys think? What's that? What do you think?
We'll see.
We shall see. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know that. Or the person that bought it was like, hell yeah, I've been wanting one of these and now I didn't have to pay for it. Heck yeah, that's even better.
And a cool color.
Yeah, and a rare engine and all the things. I mean, this is basically the best version of this you can get. All right, let us know what you think of the little E36 hatchback. Was that well bought? Or do you guys agree with my partner that these things really aren't worth anything and that was where it's at? Let us know in the comments. We've got new predictions right after this. Stick around, guys. Hey, guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if Bid Nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer, AP, or any fine timepiece is in tip-top shape. Our Smiths, fine Swiss repair. Yeah, I'm looking at my Our Smiths Aviero watch going, it is time for new predictions. I'm excited about the cars on our list tonight. We've got kind of some weird cars.
We do have some weird cars.
We got weirdo cars. You picked weird cars.
Absolutely. I'm in a weird mood.
Is that what it is? We got, our nerd herd, our fans, the guys that hang out and watch a show with us and follow us and talk to us on Instagram. We love you guys. Lucas has reached out to us and offered to be kind of like a Bid Nerds intern to give us some more data because we have it's a lot of work to do this show. Look, I'm not complaining. We love doing it and we love hanging out with you guys. We're not looking for a pat on the back or anything like that, but it is just, to make a show is kind of a pain in the butt, right? So we don't always have time to do show research. So Lucas has offered to help us out with a little bit of that. So maybe we'll take you up on that, Lucas. We'll talk to you more
absolutely
on that one. All right, so let's get to some predictions. Are classic and collectible cars the new gold? Is this the way to hedge your bet against inflation? Tariffs, crazy markets, all the things that everyone's freaking out about. Do you need to just get rid of those dollar bills, y'all, and get yourself something that you can drive? Let's get into the first car on the list. This first car, I know my partner is super stoked about, and let's just see how giddy Michael Deeb is on this first one. What do we got?
All right, JP.
Calm down. Settle.
This
is what I have to say to my dog. Settle.
Oh my
Settle.
God. Okay, JP, check it out. It's a 1994 Porsche 911 Carrera 4 wide body. And yes, wide body is the word salad from Porsche. That's what they called it when it was on sale in the showrooms for 1 year only in 1994. Basically, as the story goes, and JP tells the story actually better than I do, the 993 had bowed or had been introduced to the rest of the world market. So if you were in Europe or parts of Asia or South America or Middle East or whatever, you could go in 1994 to your Porsche dealership and get the brand new 993. But in North America, while Porsche was putting out 993s as fast as they could for the rest of the world, they didn't have enough for us. So thus, they carried the 964 over for 1 more year. And in so doing, they made a copy of the previous year rest of the world anniversary model, which was the turbo flares, the normally aspirated Carrera motor, and a 4-wheel drive system. And that was the Jubilee, the 30-year anniversary. They basically rebadged that car a Carrera 4 wide body and offered it in a variety of colors. And Porsche sold just 267 of those to all of the North American markets combined. I'd say about 250 of them were sold in the U.S., and there were probably a handful in Canada and maybe 1 or 2 to some cartel members in Mexico. This colorway, JP, is its original shade. That is Horizon Blue metallic paint. The person who owned this car obviously didn't see what the future would hold for the values on Carrera 4 wide bodies, because these cars with low miles, rare shades, and in good condition bring now in the secondary market over $200,000. But just a handful of years ago, JP, this was an $80,000 car. So this guy repainted the car. He put the big red brakes on it. He put the 18-inch BBS E88 wheels. It's got a Momo steering wheel and some Recaro bucket seats and a roll bar. The thing that he did that I say he took it too far, JP, is he covered the middle and bottom parts of the dash in colored Alcantara, and he changed out the factory gauges for these aftermarket gauges. Thus, now the car has to be listed as 39,000 miles shown, true mileage unknown, because this new gauge cluster must have, I assume, offered a different odometer than the one that was been in the car up to that point. Now, JP, as Lucas and everybody else in the Nerd Herd knows, we don't do any research, so I haven't looked at the Carfax on this car. I don't really care, but it is ultimately going to hurt the overall value of this car. JP, I don't fault this guy for selling it and getting off the car. You never know when somebody needs money or is done with a car emotionally or whatever. But John, if this guy had, I don't know, what is it going to take, 15 to 20 grand to put this car mostly back together? This could be a $150,000 car, even with the uncertainty around the ultimate mileage count on the odometer of the car, because obviously it would not be able to be quantified. That being said, he could still leave some of these aftermarket parts. The suspension, heck, even the wheels and brakes could go. But cleaning up that interior for $5,000 to $10,000 would go a long way towards reaching an ultimate retail value for a very special Porsche. John, I love this car the way it is. I may just bid on it because I love what I'm looking at there. The wing and the wheels and the stance are all there. The interior makes my belly go bleh, but I could throw a couple extra dollars at it and bring it back to closer to stock, more my taste. And that's what every Porsche today is. It is a canvas for you to draw your ultimate dream car and go have fun with. One guy's garbage, is another man's treasure. I'm digging this car. He's done with it. And I'm ready to dance with her next. Look at that car. Bitchin'. JP, I know you know these cars. I know you love them as much as I do. What would you do with your Horizon Blue C4 wide body? And please don't say, I don't care, man. I drive it just the way it is. You would never do that. You'd put stickers on it. You'd change the seatbelts. You'd get a new air horn. What are you doing? Talk to me.
This is the problem when you have a partner that listens sometimes, but not all the time. You tell them that it's easy to change certain things like seats and dashboards and interiors. We need a Lucas because I did do a little looking, not much, not as much as, if we had an intern to do this for us. But you don't want this car, Michael Deeb, and some interior bits are not going to get this car back to where it needs to be. This car was previously sold by Beverly Hills Car Club. If anybody knows Beverly Hills Car Club, they know that is basically the Beverly Hills equivalent of P-Car Market. It just gets better from there. You may have noticed in some of the photos, particularly when we got of that interior, when Deeb was maligning the Alcantara dashboard, when he was gagging so much that he missed the fact that, oh, what's missing? What's missing right there, Deeb? What's that gray spot? What's supposed to be there? Yeah, stereo. That's the HVAC that this car doesn't have. Not only does it not have the AC unit, okay, it doesn't have the controls. And anyone who's ever owned a 964 or a 993 knows how expensive those are. And God knows what's been disconnected behind there. The module alone is like a $3,000 unit, not to mention all the wires and all the things that who knows what's missing back there. There's no AC unit. People are asking questions in the ad, in the comments. Hey, what would it take to get the AC to work and the heat to work? Because, oh, by the way, it's got fab speed headers and exhaust with
no cat.
There's no cats and no heat exchangers. So this car doesn't have heat or air conditioning. So you better live in a climate that just like is always perfect. Or have a jacket and have some ice to go down to your pants. This thing is a pile of crap. Guess what? But wait, there's more, kids. Not only does this car have all these other problems, but there's a receipt in the bucket for past you want to add maintenance records, right? When you're advertising a car on P-Car Market or bring a trailer or anywhere, right? Especially when it comes to Porsche, people always want to see the receipts. Show me the receipts. What has been done in this car? Has it had a top end? When's the last time the clutch? What services? Those are real questions because the cost of maintaining these cars is so incredibly high. This car, there was a receipt for a bit of maintenance that was done fairly recently. My partner loves to bring cars back to original, so apparently the previous owner thought that would be a good idea to sell this car too. So they removed the supercharger that used to be on the engine. Whoops! Oh, what? Why? Why bother removing the supercharger? This car is so far. It'd be one thing if it were a totally stock car and you added a supercharger. You're like, hey, we're going to take this off, and here's the compression test, and here's all the engine's still fine. The engine was built for a supercharger, but just the fact that this thing had a supercharger on it and it wasn't really disclosed until someone figured it out from the receipts. Deeb, these are not the droids you were looking for. This is not the C4S that you were looking for. Move the F on. What's this thing going to bring? And it better not be bringing any of your money.
JP, I'm sitting in my new Carrera 4 wide body. How do I defrost? How do I defrost the windshield?
Whoops! Yeah. Oh, man.
So obviously this was a track car for somebody who lived near Monticello or something, and it was just ripping on it. Also, JP, I opened up the Carfax. This car had 87,000 miles, and then 4 years later it had 39,000 miles. So, objectively, this car has 40 plus 90 is what, 130. So. This is probably 130,000 miles on it. And if it had a supercharger on it, this car has been driven hard. Still, it's so pretty. God, I just want to fix it. It's like all the little Alphas I've ever bought. I'm like, I can help you. So anyways,
she's like, you're like caught in the oh my gosh. Okay, so you guys help my partner out. Don't let him buy this car. Do we need to strap you down to your chair and away from your computer for a week?
I'm trying to bid. I'm trying to bid.
All right, what's some other fool going to pay for this particular car?
That is such a good question. JP, according to our friends at Classic.com, the average selling price of a 1994 911 C4 wide body, one of the 287 or whatever that number is $195,000. Initially, JP, I thought this car, all bastardized, had a chance to get to $121,000. John, at this point, I don't think it's going to break 100. The number that I'm sort of playing with is $96,000. The question is whether or not this guy actually thinks this thing that he has left is worth more than that and doesn't accept the 96. So in my mind, 96 JP would be covered if the reserve was 100. This car would be covered by BAT. So I'm going $96,000 to you. But in my mind, I think this guy's got an overinflated version of what the value of this car is. So at 96, I actually think it doesn't sell. But 96 to you, JP. Where you at?
Yeah, this car, as much as I just ished all over it, it's still a C4S wide body 964, and that is something somebody wants. Even, whoever buys this, you're going to really have to make sure that engine, the health of this engine is in question, right? With a supercharger on it, we don't know what the car, how it was built. We don't know what internals were strengthened to make sure that it could take the boost. So basically factor in a rebuild for this thing at, call it $35,000. And then, while you're at it, is another $10,000 for HVAC. Maybe not that much if all you care about is the heat and you don't care about the AC. And then you've got a pretty awesome car. It's a wide body 964 that is, at the end of the day, still a wide body 964. This car's definitely going to break $100,000. I think it's going to bring 110 964, and I think it fails to sell at that. I think you're right, Deeb, that this guy probably thinks it's worth about 150.
Steven in the herd is with you, JP. He's at 114. Everybody else is with me. We got 95 from Burnt Oil, single cab at 87, Philip at 91, and Dave at 90. So I'm the highest one of the rest of us, but it's just you and Steven if this car goes over 100 for you guys to duke it out for the win on that one. It'll be very interesting. JP, that color is just, it's bluer than polar silver. It kind of reminds me of those early BMW 3.0 CSs that were where BMW's color was fjord blue. It reminds me of fjord blue, and God, it looks good in that color. That is hot, man. What a car. White meatballs. Oh
yeah. There's a lot to love there, and I think like my good friend our good friend T Cruz up in Seattle, he's got a black C4S that's all
Badass
kind of
one.
he's got
Yeah,
tons
mobbed
of
out
mods on it and stuff like that, and that it's so people will pay the money for. I mean, even a crappy 964 that runs and drives is worth over $100,000. So what the hell?
For sure.
All right, what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. Let's move on. What's the next car on the list?
All right, JP, let's go British for a second.
All right.
P-Car Market is trying to sell a 2003 Lotus Esprit V8 with 29,000 miles on the odometer. John, our car is listed out of Richmond, Virginia, and it's a manual transmission vehicle. The Esprit started life in the 70s as a 4-cylinder. In the 80s, it got a turbocharger and made an appearance in a couple of Bond films. And then before the car was phased out, Lotus decided to add a twin-turbo V8 and really bump the horsepower up to around 350. The car I always thought was very pretty, and today it is so iconic from a certain era. But these cars, JP, Lotus cars have never, ever truly caught on in the United States or anywhere else in the world for that matter. And thus, like a car like this should easily be a 6-figure car, and these cars struggle to sell at any price in our market. Tell me, JP, off the top of your head, on a scale of 1 to 100, what is the demand for, 80s and 90s and early 2000s Lotus Esprits? I mean, nobody are looking for these cars. And then this guy, JP, just so we're all on the same page, he brought the car in early May to bring a Taylor where it failed to sell at $68,000. So now he's running it for a second time in the same month with the exact same assets on P-Car Market. It's what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Look, if you do that with a Porsche, I get it. P-Car Market has a Porsche audience. But man, nobody, not even Bring a Trailer, has an audience for Lotus because there is no audience for Lotus. There is no demand for this car. So trying to sell this car with a second turn on a different platform with the same assets, boy, you are asking a lot of P-Car Market, and P-Car Market doesn't have a lot of answers. So JP, I thought this would just be really interesting to examine. There's just nobody scouring the internet for his next Esprit. What's the story here?
Yeah, if you want one of these, it seems like, this is the one, right? The V8. I've never driven the V8. I've driven the little turbos and stuff like that, and they're fun. They're definitely, an old classic sports car. But I feel like I really want to try driving one of these because they may not bring a lot of money. Nobody knows that. You roll up to a Cars and Coffee in this, and you're going to get as much attention as the guy that rolls up in a Huracan or any, run-of-the-mill exotic car, maybe more because people know it's a classic exotic car. It just has so much eyeball, and with a manual, 3 pedals, a big V8. Do you know who made the V8 in this? I have no idea who made the V8. It certainly wasn't Lotus, was it?
I think it was. It's
not like a Land Rover Buick V8 or something, really? Somebody help us out. Who knows in the nerd?
I think it's their own design. Yeah,
who made the V8 on this, and how reliable are they?
Large.
He was like LS swap. Yeah, we love that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's LRGE says that needs an LS swap. Yeah, and putting a LS3 in this, JP, would be the bee's knees, man. And a 6-speed.
I just want to drive one just the way it is. It doesn't need to have a ton of power for this to be awesome and a lot of fun. And for not a lot of money, I feel like there are some great sweet spots if you want great bang for the buck for exotic cars. Like we always talk about how great R8s are, right?
Yeah.
R8s look the business, but they don't cost very much money. That's a modern car, right? That's like you get an R8 because you can't necessarily afford a Huracan or a 458 or something like
GT3,
that. Or a GT3 or whatever. So you get something that looks special and is really cool and lots of fun to drive, but doesn't break the bank. I think this car represents the same kind of fizz, right? You want to get an old classic Ferrari. Lotuses aren't exactly known to be reliable, but neither's a 355. But
the difference, JP, is there are some notable, reliable, honest Ferrari mechanics out there somewhere. Tell me, in God's green earth, if you're in the United States, where do you go to find a Lotus expert that is still wrenching, who worked on this car in 2003. Now, 25 years later, that guy still has his own shop and he's gainfully employed. Those guys are all retired, man. They're in Spain.
Good point.
Yeah. So
all right. So what's this car? How badly is P-Car Market wasting our time this time? Where's it gonna fail?
So interesting, JP. Okay, so again, the V8s actually do bring some money in the secondary market. According to Classic.com, the V8 Esprits trade for $103,000 on average. That being said, this car on Bring a Trailer 2 weeks ago failed to sell at 68 grand. And now P-Car Market has the car. It's got 3 days to go until it closes. So essentially, JP, it's going to hammer on Wednesday. Right now, it's at 30 grand on 3 bids. JP, I doubt that this car's final hammer will be on more than 10 bids. I bet you this car gets 7, 8, 9 bids at max, and then it's done. And I think the number is going to come in well under the 68. JP, I'm just going to go 55,000 as my bid and hand it over to you and say that it misses its previous mark by more than $10,000. Winds up in the deal tank for something on the far side of 100 grand, which is unrealistic because the car is red tan, a little bit boring, and it has 30,000 miles on it. There are sharper looking examples with less odometer for more reasonable prices out there. And so I'm guessing this is unrealistic, hence why it wound up at P-Car Market. So JP, 55 to you. What's your number on this Esprit V8?
Yeah, even the people that bid on this car on BAT, if they haven't forgotten about this car and don't care anymore, if they find out that it's for sale on P-Car Market, and they're like, oh, maybe I can get a second bite at the apple, no one's going to even bother bidding. Everyone's just going to sit back and wait for the thing to go in the chum bucket because everyone wants to know, what does this idiot actually want for the car?
Right.
If he passed on 68, okay, what is he thinking? So let's just, because the guy probably wants $100,000 for it, right? So I'm going to say $50,008. Say it goes in the chum bucket, and then we reveal just how dumb this owner is. I mean, look, he's a special kind of dumb to have passed up that 68 grand. That's pretty damned good money for this car. And I don't know what the hell. What could he possibly want more than that? That's just mind-boggling to me. All right, let us know what you guys think this If Looks Could Kill. Was that the movie?
2 more.
The Booker guy? All right.
For your eyes only?
No, there was a James Bond knockoff. The guy that was in 21 Jump Street, the Booker guy, they gave him like a movie. He played like a high school kid that gets mistaken for a super agent when he goes on a field trip to Europe and he drives one of these. It had rockets in it, and it was silly James Bond.
I'm watching that tonight. I'm staying up late watching that tonight.
Yeah, you can hang out with Rami. I'm sure he knows all the words.
Yeah,
all right, what's the next car on the list? What we got? This one's a weird one.
All right, JP.
You picked some weird ones tonight, man.
We've covered a couple of these before, but JP,
you thought the Lotus was weird. Buckle up, Buttercups. What do we got next?
All right. How do you like your kilometers? I like mine by Zagato. Check out this 1991 Alfa Romeo SZ in Italy, nicknamed Il Monstro, which literally translates to the monster. Our car is listed on Bring a Trailer by the seller Wob at 1,000 Oaks, California. The big news here, JP, is that the car only has 13,000 kilometers on it. That's just 8,000 miles from new. Now, these cars, JP, are on a shortened version of the Milano platform with the same 3-liter Busso V6 that would have come in the Milanos that had the Quattrofolio. That would have been the upgrade to the 3-liter, and thus it would have had 180 horsepower. In this specification, that same motor is tuned to put out 210 horsepower, and these cars weigh less and have a shorter wheelbase. JP, these cars are actually hella fun to drive. You just have to get past its really weird Elephant Man looking looks to it, very much a Zagato polarizing design that I'm starting to think has aged well. I thought these cars were really goofy looking. I don't think they're any less goofy looking. But the way you park this car next to a new Supra, and this winds up being the prettier car, you know what I mean? Like a lot less radiuses, and it kind of makes sense to me now. So JP, a pure 2-seater, rear-wheel drive, actually, I don't know if it has limited slip differential. It is like a DD-on rear suspension, but this car was really advanced, and it's got a lot of power, not a lot of weight. They never sold them in the U.S. They're all sort of gray market cars. They're tough sells in America for all the same reasons I said. It's hard to find the buyer for the Lotus. It might also equally be hard to find the buyer for an Alfa Romeo SZ, even though I'm a huge Italian car fanboy and I would love to own this. It winds up being a lot of fun and a lot of value for under 100 grand. That being said, this is the lowest mileage example we've seen. If there are more than one people out there that would like to have the best of a rare car, this car could bring six figures, although I wouldn't expect that. So JP, really quickly, because we're running out of time, your thoughts on Il Monstro. Has anybody ever handed you the keys to their Milano, whether it was the 2.5 or the 3 liter?
Yeah, I've driven Milanos, and they're fun.
Yeah.
I mean, this looks like fun to drive, but goddamn, what a weird looking car. We covered this when Wob tried to sell it a few months ago. So this is like the second bite at the apple. And honestly,
is it the same car?
I believe it is.
Oh,
yeah,
it is.
the same exact photos and everything. You know, this car. You look at the. Oh my God, this thing's ugly. When everybody thought that AI was going to take over the world when it came out a couple of years ago, and it still can barely tell the difference between a cat and a dog. I feel like this car looks like, you know, when ChatGPT first started making images and you said, you know, make an Italian sports car image, and, you know, this is what it would shit out. Is something weird looking like this. It's like, is that a car or an appliance or something? I mean, it just can't figure out what the hell's going on. It looks like what did we cover that, the 323 BMW hatchback? I mean, it looks like one of those on Down syndrome or something like that. I mean, this thing just is the worst looking car I think I've ever seen. And I don't mean to disparage people, but you know, this car is not good. This is not a good looking car. What's it going to bring?
All right, JP, in August of 2024, which obviously I'm getting senile and forgot that we covered it just then, this car failed to sell at $90,000. JP, the car's come back to market, and even though Wob is a special seller, I'm guessing that the reserve is going to be 90 grand or less in order to come around a second time. JP, with 2 days left to go, our car is sitting at $65,000, and that comes to us by just 4 bids. 90 grand last time, I had put... What did I put for this car? 85. I'm going to leave my bid at $85,000. And I'm going to say at 85, JP, this car actually sells, even though it's less than what it hammered for last time. And I think that's just how BaT helps ensure that the cars move. So 85 to you, JP. You going to go over that number?
No, I'll go 80,000. What is this car called? This is a Zagato?
SC. Yeah, Sprint
SC,
Zagato.
yeah, so I'll just go 80,000 and call it good because I have no idea. I think I am retarded. I don't know what this car is. So anyways, let's move on. What's the next car on the list? Because I don't know. All right. What do you guys think? I mean, do you think that I mean, the nerd herd is all over the place on whether this thing looks cool. Does anybody in the nerd herd think this thing looks good? Like anybody? Would anyone drive this? I want to see somebody say that, yeah, they would actually drive this thing. I mean,
right now.
The fact that 90, like anything over 25 grand to me just seems absolutely patently absurd. That just doesn't make any sense to me at all. Why anyone would want this car? Somebody educate me. Somebody fill me in. I don't know. I do not see the appeal. All right. Do we have time to get this last car? I guess we do. Yeah. We're over anyway.
Let's just chuck it.
Put it on the list. Yeah.
All right, 1994 Mazda MX-5 Miata M-Edition that has been treated to a safari build. JP, check it out. 5 oversized wheels and tires, enough running lights to light up Christmas in Central Park. JP, they added a turbocharger to this thing and a 6-speed manual swap with extensive off-road modifications, including a roll bar. 119,000 miles on the odometer, but that doesn't matter. It's on a clean Maryland title. But JP, I had to pick it. It's on Cars and Bids of all places. I've never seen a Miata Safari. I couldn't let it go. Please forgive me. What do you think?
What's it going to bring?
All right, JP. According to our friends at Classic.com, an M-Edition Miata should bring $13,000. Our car is sitting at $10,100 on 23 bids. So JP, I actually think our car is going to get there. I'm going to give you $17,000 and say that it sells. Where are you at?
How much time we got on this thing?
Couple of days.
and it's at 10 grand. I'm gonna
closes on Tuesday, the 27th. Yeah.
I'm gonna say it gets another 2 grand. I'll say it gets to $12,000.
All right, there's 5 grand between us.
Yeah, I just how cars and bids is. A couple of people bid, and then that's about it. All right, guys, talk about a car that's not for smart people. All right, let us know what you think of this Miata, you guys. It does look like a lot of fun out in the desert or something like that. All right, what a show. This one went off the rails at the end. Thanks for hanging out. We will see you guys Sunday night. This is Bid Nerds, and if you want to sell your car, give the Bid Nerds a call. We will get you hooked up. There is a happy ending for every auction with Bid Nerds. See you guys. Bye.